We are joined by Arkansas center fielder and SEC Player of the Year, KB Sides, on halftime. It is an exciting week. It's been an exciting season, of course. But now the NCAA postseason is about to begin with the Fayetteville Regional on Friday. Arkansas will play against Princeton. You got Wichita State and Oregon also in the field. KB, I know this is a really busy week, so we would appreciate your time no matter when it is, but this week, wow, really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
How's the excitement feeling? I mean, is it tough to just kind of contain the excitement and focus on practicing and try to treat Friday like another game?
Well, first, thank you for having me on here. I'm glad I had time to talk with you guys. I would say this week I think we're all anxious to play, you know. I think that's just that's the worst and best part about postseason. You get a lot of downtime to practice, you know, during the week, no midweek games. But I think the anxiety builds up a little bit, you know. We're getting ready to play. We're excited. And I said today, I wish we played tomorrow. Like, I'm ready to play. And I think you just have to focus on taking it one game at a time and staying present and who you have next and not looking forward.
You've obviously had an amazing year. Anybody that would win an SEC Player of the Year in any sport has done something special. And when it's softball, and this is the best conference in college softball in the country, I think it's easy to look at that when 12 of 13 teams made the field. That says something. But it adds something to this story, KB, where, I mean, you weren't even sure if you were going to play this year. I know that, you know, you'd been at Alabama for 4 years, and we're not going to be going back to Alabama. You'd even considered not playing, and now here you are. You're the SEC Player of the Year. I mean, these are two things that are difficult to kind of put in the same sentence. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. It's crazy to look at and think about. And, you know, I've had some time to just go back and look at it, and it's honestly crazy. And I was struggling to decide if I was going back to Alabama or not, but they made that decision for me, and I'm thankful they made that decision for me because I wouldn't have had any of the things or met any of my coaches or teammates here at Arkansas, and I put it in God's hands, and I'm truly blessed that He chose me to do all the things that I've done here at Arkansas, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without my teammates and my coaches. You know, they just make me better every single day, and I truly believe that I'm an exact replica of all the players in this lineup and on this team. They've just made me better, and the coaches have just brought out things that have never been brought out of me in my entire college career, and I'm just so thankful to them. I'm thankful for them, and they've just brought the old KB back.
The old KB. That's an interesting thing that you say. I can imagine your heart must have been broken. I've seen interviews where you talked while you were still at Alabama that you didn't ever want to play for anybody else, but they made the decision for you. That's a breakup. Everybody knows what that feels like. You know, and I've seen stories that describe Arkansas softball as a family. You guys hug each other, you touch each other, you know, you really do treat each other as a family. From the outside looking in, when you had been essentially broken up with by your family, your team, and you're looking for a new place to play, what was it about Courtney Deifel, about Arkansas, that you gravitated towards?
Well, it was a very hard day for me, but Coach Deifel was the first person that called me, the first person emailed, texted me. You know, she reached right out, and I just fell in love with her over the phone. We talked for about an hour, and, I mean, it was just, I don't know, there was just something about her that was just incredible, and I came on my visit here to Arkansas. Well, me and my dad got here the night before because we were going to start at, I think, 9 a.m., and their flight got canceled from Denver because they were out there recruiting, and they drove through the night to make sure they made it here at 8 a.m. for my visit. And that really stood out to me. And I just knew within the first 30 minutes of eating breakfast with them, like, this was the place for me. And they have truly showed me everything that they said they would. They took care of me. They've went above and beyond for me. And it really is a family atmosphere. I mean, I enjoy every single day at practice. I enjoy being around every single girl on this team. And I feel like that's very rare in a softball team or in women's sports. It's very rare to enjoy every single person, but, like, no one on this team is, I love everyone. Like, there's not one bad thing I would say about anyone. They're all just amazing people, and I think it speaks volumes for how our coaches recruit. You know, it's like they make sure to find not only the best players, but I think the best people, and I think that's the most important part, because I've always been told one bad apple can spoil the entire bunch, you know. And we don't have one bad apple. Everyone here is just amazing.
That is great to hear, KB, because when you see a lot of teams out there, they respect each other, but they don't always like each other. And it's good to know that the genuine feelings that we kind of, as fans and as media members watching you guys, we see that love, and to know that it's truly genuine is a great thing. And you coming from Alabama, one of the best programs in the SEC. You were 5-4 at Alabama against Arkansas. Do you remember kind of what your thoughts were about the University of Arkansas, why you were playing at Alabama, and kind of like what you thought when you played against the Courtney Deifel-led team?
I think it changed over the course of the 4 years, Last year we didn't get to play them, but I had a lot of respect for them. I knew that she was doing something big at Arkansas, but I never really thought much about it while I was at Alabama. But when I did play them my junior year, COVID year, they were still a great team. They had a lot of great pieces. And then last year, she did the unthinkable. It's hard to win the SEC in your first 5 years. And the fact that she's done it back to back, it just speaks volumes as to what kind of coach she is, what kind of staff that she has put together. And I think that, like you said, it's one of the toughest conferences in the country, if not the toughest. And she's just done unimaginable things for this program in her short time here at Arkansas. And when you were at Alabama, you obviously went to 3 Supers. You've been to Oklahoma City twice. What's the conversation been around with your teammates? Kind of what have you told them about the Oklahoma City experience? And is there something that, if good Lord willing, y'all make it to Oklahoma City this year, that you're going to try to appreciate more, kind of soak in a little bit more than you might have done the first 2 trips to OKC? I think this trip, I haven't really been vocal about it. I'm more of a lead by example type of player. I'm not very vocal unless I need to be, but I think that's every college softball player's dream, is to play in Oklahoma City. And I know that the girls that were on the team last year, it was just kind of a tough blow, for them not to make it, not to win a game in Supers and being as good as they were. And I think this year that is kind of the unsaid goal. That is exactly what we want. And I know that I have a full belief that we can do it. So I think it's just, this team deserves it. I don't like to say, like, I deserve anything or the team deserves anything, but I think if you could be around our team for a day or just come to a game and watch in person and just how we interact with each other, I can't think of another team that deserves it more than this team deserves it, if that makes sense.
SEC Player of the Year, Arkansas center fielder KB Sides, joining us on halftime. KB stands for Kendall Beth. How long have you gone by KB?
So my dance teacher started calling me that when I was about 3 years old, I think, 3 or 4. So it has stuck since then. And it's funny because my sister, she could also be a KB. Her initials are the same as mine, but luckily they just chose it for me.
And how long have you played softball? And would you describe yourself as a ballpark rat, or do you get into other things and kind of leave the game behind when the game's over?
I would say I'm definitely a ballpark rat. I mean, my sister played, so I grew up going to her tournaments and being one of the little sisters on the team. And I've always been a ballpark girl. I've played since I have a photo of me in this helmet. I was a little pitcher for my All-Stars T-ball team. So I was probably 4 years old. I was little bitty, chest protector, tiny cleats, pink little shoes. I've always been a ballpark girl. So it was definitely in my blood. My dad played baseball. He was very fast. And my sister, she was a right-handed hitter, not as fast as me, but she could move. So I just wanted to be like my sister. So I've always been around the ballpark.
Chest protector, you were a catcher? Were you a glutton for punishment then too?
No, it's like, I guess in T-ball, when you were like the pitcher in the circle, you had to wear a chest protector and a helmet. So I was in the middle of the pitcher circle with the coach that was throwing coach pitch, and I had a chest protector on.
Oh, that's great, KB. And you talk about your sister and y'all both playing softball. And now that it's kind of all wrapping up, where would the moment that you two actually got to play against each other back your freshman year at Alabama, you at Bama, her at UAB, where would that kind of rank in knowing that your team got the best of her that day?
It was cool, but I mean, it was Alabama playing UAB, and I think it was just, I don't know, it was just my sister, and I didn't really rub it in her face at all, and I think my sister's always been my biggest fan, so I think it was a cool moment for her getting to see me start those games against her. I think that was more cool for her than me, honestly. And she's just always been like that. She's been my biggest supporter, my biggest fan. She's been the one to say that I was going to accomplish all these things, and she's always been right. She's always had my best interest at heart.
And speaking of biggest fans, is William going to be making his way to Fayetteville this week? Because he was a big part of y'all's win last weekend.
I know. I'm not sure. I hope he can make it. Hopefully he will be here next weekend. If not, I'm pretty sure they're talking about the World Series. You know, he's still in school, so it's tough for them to get all the way up here, you know.
So you're SEC Player of the Year, .395 batting average, on base .510, slugging over .720. Like, you were already a productive player at Alabama, but dude, like, you went from 3 homers in your career to a dozen this year and kept doing the other things that you do by getting on base, by stealing bases. Where did this power surge come from? And I mean, when did you start to realize it's like, all right, maybe I'm not like the power hitter on this team, but I can drop bombs too?
Well, I hit probably 14 to 15 home runs my senior year of high school, you know, and somewhere in my career where I was, I guess that power got lost a little bit. And when I got here, me and Coach Yo, we worked on my lower half she showed me this drill, and she was like, I don't think you're going to get this. It's going to take a couple of weeks. I know you'll get it. But I figured out what she was teaching me in 2 days. And after those 2 days, I just saw a complete difference in my power. Like, I've always had a lot of pop, but not as consistently as what I had it. Like, my hitting coach from home, he has basically created my swing, my upper half. But Coach Joe really developed my lower half in my swing where I just stand in the box, you know, and just full out power shot. And I think a lot of it is mental, too. I have the most confidence that I've ever had. They never let me get down too low. They don't ever let me get too high either. But it's just, a lot of it was mental. I mean, that's all I needed.
I don't want to get too far ahead because obviously, you know, you're playing to get to Oklahoma City and got your eyes hopefully, you know, on a national title. But this is your last season of college softball. So what are you thinking ahead? We'd had Courtney Deifel on a couple of weeks ago, and she had mentioned that she had wished that pro fast pitch was more of an option after she had graduated college. Maybe it is now. What do you see in your near future?
Well, I had been asked to play by a couple different leagues, but I turned it down. My body, I don't think, can handle it anymore. I mean, it may not look like that on the field right now, but I have had some injuries in my past, and I just want to end my career at Arkansas. I want to end my career with Coach Deifel as my head coach. Like, there's no one else that I would want to end my career with, and I just think that's special to me. And that's what I've always wanted was since I got here, because they asked me when I got here, like, hey, do you want to play after college? And I've never really wanted to play after college, and I just think it's more special ending my career with coaches like the staff.
Mm-hmm. And as far as, you know, the game of softball, I think, you know, in all of our lifetimes here talking, it has grown a heck of a lot in popularity, and now that a lot of games are on ESPN, the College World Series broadcast on ESPN. What's the next step you would like to see softball take and kind of the popularity it is in America? And what's the biggest contributing factor you've seen the sport really grow just in your time from high school up till today?
I think the coverage of the games is like the biggest thing that has happened with softball. I think something important about that would help other universities is really putting their money into softball, because I feel like it's the fastest growing sport there is, not even just in female sports or male and female. I think it's in general, you know, it's just the fastest growing sport there is. I mean, so many kids are playing softball now, little girls, and it has grown tremendously since I've even been in high school. I mean, you probably could ask any little girl in public, like, hey, do you play sports? She'd probably say softball. And I think that's so cool just to see that I've been part of that, you know, helping the sport grow and giving back to the sport, just doing camps and showing these kids, like, you can make it. Like, I come from a small town, very, very small town, and I think that's important about how you grow the game more is a lot of the girls in college softball do a great job giving back to the game and just being able to show these younger girls from these small towns they can do anything. They can dream. They can do anything.
Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.